Welcome to the What Bitcoin Did podcast.
Hello there from Bedford. How are you all? How was your weekend? Mine was pretty good. It's nice to get some time back at home, back in the land of Bitcoin, back in Bedford, before I head back out to the States for my next trip, which should be next week. Anyway, welcome to the What Bitcoin Did podcast, which is brought to you by the Mighty Kraken, the best place to buy and sell Bitcoin. I'm your host, Peter McCormack, and today I've got an interview with Hotep Jesus, a tech startup advisor who recently caused some controversy after hosting a BTC versus BSV debate following his appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast when BSV was mentioned. But before that, I do have a message from my amazing sponsors. Make sure you check them out. So first up, in the spirit of Rogan, we have the motherfucking BlockFi. Yes, BlockFi are crushing it. They are the future of Bitcoin and financial services. And I just got my latest interest payment from my BlockFi interest account. Love it. Love getting my payment every month. I've now made enough to have a nice little holiday at Christmas with the children, which is pretty cool. And if you are interested in checking out their interest accounts, they've got a bunch of new features. They have dropped all minimum deposits, so interest account holders no longer have to meet a minimum deposit in their Bitcoin, Ether, or GUSD balances in order to earn interest. They've also removed the early withdrawal penalty and are offering one free withdrawal per month for all clients. And they also have BlockFi Flex, where you can choose to receive the interest payment in the currency of your choice. If you're interested in checking out, do your own research, then head over to blockfi.com, which is BLOCKFI.com. Also, this show is brought to you by the mighty and amazing Kraken, the exchange with the best security procedures in the entire business. And last week, they had a very cool new announcement. They launched their first mobile app, Kraken Pro, which allows you to trade Bitcoin on the go. Have you downloaded it yet? Have you checked it out? It is absolutely badass. They've crushed it. So many cool features packed in. You've got real-time price updates, multiple charting and order book display options. They have advanced trading features. You can go long and short on 8 different cryptocurrencies with up to 5x leverage. You can open and close your positions in bulk, and you've got advanced order types. You can view your complete history of orders, trades, position, deposits, and withdrawals. But also, the app comes with a deep and liquid set of over 100 cryptocurrency markets, fees as low as 0%, and 24/7 365 global support. It's available for the iPhone and Android. Just search for Kraken Pro, which is KrakenPro. Okay, so on to the interview with Hotep Jesus, and this is going to be quite the change up from Szabo last week, and I know some people won't want to listen to it or won't care, but for many reasons this interview is as important as any other one for me. I've always wanted the podcast to focus on new people who are in the space, those who maybe lack the technical or economic skills of others, because you know what? It can be really intimidating to be stuck between some of you clever fuckers out there. Bitcoin is hard. Understanding Bitcoin is hard. And I find there is sometimes a lack of empathy for this. You know, most people, when they want to invest, it isn't about overthrowing the state. People just hear about other people making money in Bitcoin and they want to make some money for themselves. You know, they want to make some money for their families and have some nice things too. So I love the dream of separating money and state, but I'm also practical. I understand that pretty much everybody comes into the space initially to make money. And I find Hotep an interesting character. So he was on Joe Rogan recently and the topic of BSV came up. And this caused quite a shitstorm on Twitter. And I kind of ended up in the middle of it because somebody tagged me in a Twitter thread where he wanted to host a debate. I was more than happy to do it. I know I don't have the skills to debate it, so I asked Shinobi to join me, who did an amazing job. And we went up against a couple of those BSV morons. And you know what, the reason I did it is because I see someone like Hotep as somebody who can be a benefit to the space. And also, it's just super interesting to try and see the perspectives of somebody who new comes into the space with. I think it's often overlooked or ignored by Bitcoiners that when new people come in, that they do see Bitcoin and Bcash and BSV, all these different coins with Bitcoin in their name, and they can get easily confused. If you end up falling into the wrong subreddit or section of Twitter, you may get swayed while not fully understanding the implications of one of these shitcoins. And, you know, some of the arguments can be very persuasive. If you look at BSV, you know, the narrative is that it was created by the creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto. It might not be immediately obvious that Craig Wright is a moron and a liar and he didn't create Bitcoin. Or with BCH, you know, it's like the white paper, it has peer-to-peer cash. Oh, that makes sense. I think that some of those people who have been in the space for a long time do not have the luxury of objectivity or sometimes even the patience. But I think the confusion is real, and I don't believe a single person like Hotep can harm Bitcoin, but bringing him around to BTC can mean he is a force for good. So there's definitely an interview I wanted to do. loads of people will just say, let the newcomers get wrecked and they will eventually find Bitcoin. But I'd prefer to try and educate newcomers to the market rather than let their investment alts trend to zero before discovering why Bitcoin is king. I also think it's useful to be able to discuss the benefits of Bitcoin versus these other shitcoins. So anyway, yes, it was an interview I really wanted to do. I know some of you won't like it, and I know we're going to get some flack for it, but for me, it's an important one. And, we didn't just discuss Bitcoin. We got into some other topics. We discussed politics, race, and equality. And you know what? Hotep has some pretty controversial opinions, which I don't necessarily share, and I certainly don't agree with. And I definitely challenged him during the interview on some of these things. But look, there was no way I wasn't going to release the interview because he said things I didn't like or even edit them out. So look, I don't agree with everything Hotep says, but I'm glad I did the interview. Anyway, sorry, long intro. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any feedback, if you want to ask me anything, good or bad, you can reach out to me on hello@whatbitcoindid.com. Just a quick notice, I'm planning my next trip. I'm probably going to be heading back out to the States next week. It might include Boston, New York, Ohio, San Fran, LA. It might even include Hawaii and New Zealand. There's lots trying to get scheduled right now. But anyway, got any questions, feel free to hit me up. Hotep, hey man, thank you. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
Doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. You're causing me a lot of shit this week, man.
Have I?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'm losing Bitcoin followers. I was out with some Bitcoin friends last night, and they're like, "Why the fuck are you talking to Hotep? Why are you having him on your show?" And I was like, "Because I think we can learn stuff from him, man."
Yeah.
So yeah.
So why would they want to not be? Why would you lose followers?
So what it is Bitcoin is king, right? Bitcoin is king.
Okay.
Everything else is either a scam or a stupid project. None of the other stuff makes sense.
Okay.
And these people have constantly been fighting and defending Bitcoin and trying to keep people away from scams. Every time.
That's mistake number one. But go ahead.
Well, okay, we'll come to that. And what they, so when someone new comes in and you say start a debate of BSV v BTC, in their minds there's no debate. It's over. It's solved. And their view is that perhaps you're giving attention to BSV and it pisses them off. I have a different view, but that's why I'm getting a bit of shit. They're like, just ignore him, fucking leave him alone. So, but look, before we get into that, I think I want to get into a couple of things first.
Okay.
I want to know a bit more about you.
Okay.
Because I think that's a good setup, right?
Absolutely.
And then I want to cover a few things there, and then we're going to go into the Bitcoin thing, right?
Let's do it.
We good?
Yeah.
All right. So, firstly, is Hotep Jesus a character, or is it you?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm a Libra, right? So a Libra's an air sign. So we move like the wind, So sometimes I'm Brian Sharp, and sometimes I'm Hotep Jesus, and sometimes I'm Daddy Boston, because I used to be a rapper under the name Daddy Boston. So, a lot of people would say, oh, you have multiple personalities. And I say, no, I'm dynamic, Or, I would say I'm fluid. I can adapt. I'm more like a chameleon where I adapt to my environment. I adapt to wherever I am or any situation. Sometimes Hotep Jesus fits. It's not a name I gave myself. It was a name that haters gave me. Haters throw me all my ammo. Haters throw you rocks, build a house.
So you owned it.
So I owned it, yeah. I thought it was a cool name. So I owned it. Like, who wouldn't want to be called Jesus,
But why is it Hotep Jesus? What's the meaning of it?
Well, Hotep is our crew, Hotep Nation. Before that, I was Hotep Hannibal. When somebody called me, they said, the way I was tweeting at that time was very spiritual.
Okay.
So they were like, what do you think you are, some type of Hotep Jesus? And I was like, that sounds better than Hotep Hannibal. So I grabbed that and made that my moniker. But I very much follow the mood. I follow a vibe. I don't follow a set pattern on how to be, you know? I follow my intuition. If it say do this, I do that. If it say don't do this, I don't do it. So sometimes people might say, hey, you're being one way and another. But usually my takes on things are very consistent. I'm an objective person too. So sometimes people don't like that either because they want you to pick a side, right?
Yeah.
But I'm very objective, whereas I can see two sides of a coin.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. No. I get it. That's fine. Okay.
Right.
So, because the reason I ask whether it's a character is, have you seen the Diego Maradona film?
I have not.
Do you know who he is?
From Argentina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he essentially had two personalities.
Okay.
Diego was the nice guy from Argentina, grew up. I'm not sure of the area, but just a nice person, loved playing football, quiet family guy. Maradona was the guy in the public doing the cocaine, going crazy, and people said there was two sides to him. And
Okay.
a bit like Eminem, sometimes Slim Shady. You know, you get
Okay.
people have like certain times their character. I didn't know if Hotep was like a character, and you get in like in Twitter. Are you in Hotep mode? And when you're home, are you just like dad?
Nah, I'm always Hotep mode.
Okay.
You know, it annoys my girl and my kids sometimes because I'm always turned to the max for the most part. I'm either all the way turned up or like super mellow. You know, I'm either in contemplation, like off in the space in my head, or when I'm here in the world, it's like, all right, I've taken everything that I thought of in that space and now I'm expressing it in the world. So I'm either in one of those two places. There's really no middle ground for me. Like I even have like insomnia sometimes. That's why you see me tweeting at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I can't shut my brain off. So I have to actually meditate to put myself to sleep.
Yep.
But it's just a million thoughts running through my head, and I read a lot and I consume information all day, every day. You know, so a lot of that contributes to my development, and I evolve really fast. You know, I'm growing. I call myself a perpetual student. So
How old are you?
I'm 40. I turn 40 next year.
I'm 40 now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm about to be
Big
there.
number, man. Big number.
Yeah, hell yeah. So, you know, it's a combination of experience
Yeah.
that makes you a new person. And every day I just try to be a little bit better than I was the day before. So if you look at me 6 months ago, you might say, yo, that's not who you were. And I'm like, I know I shouldn't be the same person I was 6 months ago. I should be growing. I should be getting better, you know? So
Right. So I guess you're on a journey, right?
Yeah.
Of discovery, self-discovery, like figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
Life, how to treat people, how to treat yourself,
Right.
all that stuff, right? How to be
Yeah.
a good dad, what you get right, what you get wrong.
Right.
Okay, I get that. And so when did this all kind of start? Because obviously you had a previous career as a rapper,
Yeah.
but now you've kind of like, you're online, you're doing podcasts, you're doing interviews. When did this whole kind of new thing start?
I want to say maybe 2007 or 2006, probably 2007, 2008. My parents left Jersey.
Okay.
They moved out of town, and I was on my own. So I was sleeping on my homeboy's couch, and things weren't looking up for me at that time, you know. First time I was out on my own. I've been with my parents my whole life. So I started reading like self-help books. And then, you know, it kind of like took me down a journey, you know, of self-discovery. In all this reading and development, you start developing a certain mentality, I guess you can say. But the physical world around you does not yet reflect the mentality that you're trying to manifest.
Okay.
Because it takes time. So you're telling everybody around you, like, yo, this is what it is. This is the plan. I'm going to be great. I'm going to be this big guy, and you're going to see. Meanwhile, they're watching you, like, get fired from Olive Garden. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they're like, nobody, like, really believes you. Then I had my blog. My blog was doing really well, but I refused to monetize my blog.
Okay.
I used it for advertising for myself, you know, because I didn't really look at USD as being something to chase, right? I looked at equity as, you know, in a brand to be something to chase.
Okay.
So I chased this equity in this brand, and eventually I got my break with 50 Cent, and I finessed that into a position at his company. So at that time, before that, I was a touring artist. Me and my homeboy Demick, we were touring artists, and that was like super fun. 30,000. You know, crowds, arenas. We performed at the Monster Truck Arena in Baltimore.
What kind of hip hop were you?
More like positive, trendy beats, up tempo.
What kind of like era? Like what kind of acts would I know? Like I know
LMFAO. We toured with LMFAO, Far East Movement. We toured with, so sort of like that.
Okay.
You know, that type of crowd.
Okay.
It wasn't the 50 Cent like gangster music. We didn't do that. It was more like, you know, party music.
Okay.
But then we had a couple of deep tracks too that talked about like real life stuff, you know? So, you know, I remember being on tour and we had a show in Miami. I went to Miami with $100 to my name for 5 days. And I didn't know how I was going to survive. I didn't have a hotel room, anything. But when we performed, we ran into this guy that owned a casino. So he took care of me the whole trip.
Nice.
I got him some girls. You know, I could talk. So I got him some girls. He was like, yo, you can crash in the, you know, big ass suite. So I crashed there. They left a day early. He bought me a hotel the next for that last night I was going to be there. So things ended up working out. But these are the things I was sacrificing. You know, I didn't have any cash, but I was still doing these things. So then I finagled my way to the whole 50 Cent, you know, situation. And that's when I was like, yo, I kind of want to be a professional. I don't want to rap anymore. I want my kids to see me as a professional, not as a rapper. And plus, being a rapper required being on tour, you know, required being on the road. And I was tired of that. So in working with 50 Cent, that incubation company, I learned a lot. And then, make a long story short, that was 2012. Well, here we are, 2019. I've worked with over 20 startups in between then and now. And what I realized was I was going into a lot of these places asking for a salary, and then I got hip, and I said, I want equity in these companies.
Okay.
I said, you can keep your cash. I'll figure out how to pay myself. I'll figure out some way to generate income. Give me equity in these companies. So I started taking that mindset approach, and then I started getting closer and closer with founders, and eventually I started working next to founders, and they just like my style and like the way I knew how to grow companies. And then that's when, so that leads us to where we are now, Hotep Jesus, the evolution, So starting off rapper, then like corporate professional, then startups, and now I'm just like, well, let's take this to the next further. Let's affect culture.
Okay. All right. So we'll get to that. So would you say like the hustle is ingrained in you?
Yeah, no, yes and no. I don't like the hustle.
Okay.
I think if you have to hustle, I equate hustle to hard work. And I think if you got to work hard, you're doing something wrong.
Okay.
It should come easy. Everything should come
Well,
easy.
there's working hard and finding it hard work. Like I work hard, but I enjoy it.
Right.
Like this isn't really work, right?
Correct.
And the hours I put in, I do it because I love the job.
Right.
So it's I work hard, but it's not hard work. I think
what I say is work consistently.
Yeah.
Like I don't work hard, but I work around the clock. Like I don't stop working, but I don't work hard either. Where some people are like, oh my God, and trying to cram and this stuff. It's just like, nah, I just take little bites throughout the day, but I'm always working. I never really clock out.
Okay.
So work consistently, but don't work hard. So you say hustle. I don't know if like I said, I'm following my intuition. So I'm not even planning the stuff I do. A lot of people think I'm like calculating this stuff, and I'm not. I'm just like, you can't calculate what I'm doing. Like it's not possible. You know what I mean?
And what's like the goal for you? Like where are you headed?
The big goal is to have a sanctuary. The problem is a lot of people in society are affected by the environment. They're stuck in an environment, and the environment is not conducive to growth.
Yep.
So what I want to do is provide them a place where they can come for 90 days and think outside of media, think outside of social media, think outside of Western civ, and bring them to a place where there are none of those stimuli, and the only stimuli is nature and literature and art.
Okay.
And I want to do that and provide that place for people for free.
Okay.
Let them come and you stay and just like rework the mind.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people, and even the body too. So like a lot of people are stuck on synthetic foods. And, you come to my sanctuary, we're going to be eating natural foods. We'll be fully sustainable with farming and so on and so forth. Very similar to Kanye, but Kanye, I think he's going more the art route. I'm going more of subconscious reprogramming route. So I want to like embed people with new messages and new ways of thinking.
Okay. And how much of that for you is kind of broadly for everyone, and how much is that for you as supporting, say, the black community? Because obviously you talk about that as well.
Yeah.
Like, is this a black thing or is this everyone?
It's definitely an everyone thing.
Yeah.
When I thought of this, I thought of the black community.
Because I tell you why because you just talked about food. Then yesterday I was meant to interview Hawk Newsom. Do you know Hawk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he had to cancel, so we're going to reschedule. But as part of my research, he talks a lot about food oppression in the black community, and it was something that never crossed my mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how I came up with the idea. I was looking at my family and saying to myself, well, how do I help them, right? Like what is wrong with them? Like, first it was like the diagnosis, like what's wrong here? Because I have at least 100 family members in New Jersey, and all 100 are under poverty. I have a really large family. If I put all my family in a room, we'd probably fill up maybe 2,000, 3,000 people. My great-great-parents got busy.
Yeah.
When you look at the tree, I think they started with 13 children or something like that. And then like one of their children had 18 children. This is really wild.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have a really large family. So I was looking at my family, seeing them at the family reunion, seeing them at Christmas, and just like, what's wrong here?
Yeah, what's the pattern, you think? What's happening there?
It's very mental, you know. Your environment doesn't give you positive stimuli. For example, right? Like if I said to somebody, don't chase money, chase equity. But if you never heard of the word equity, how would you even know how to chase it, right? And really the way out of poverty is not through, or I should say the path to billionaire status isn't through the USD, it's through equity in a company, especially a tech company. So if they're not exposed to these things, if they wanted to invest and they never heard of Robinhood, like you can't fault them for not coming up out of the dirt if there's not somebody there to introduce them to ideas.
So the whole environment's wrong from the start.
Yeah, there's nothing, and even the teachers aren't hip, right? So you say, oh, well, we sent money to the school. The teacher doesn't know anything about Robinhood. She doesn't know anything about investing. Right?
They don't teach about money at school.
They don't teach money at school, exactly. So like if I say to a kid, I say, listen, I could make you a millionaire in 10 years, right? Guaranteed. And you could work at Walmart. He gonna look at me crazy. But it's true that if you take half of your income and you don't get married and you don't have kids, and you take it and you just put it into S&P 500 companies and wait 10 years, you'll amass a great fortune, and it could be up to $1 million. There's a couple that did it. They were making 70,000, whatever. But the fact of the matter remains, in 10 years, if you got $500,000 in an investment account, you're better off than like 90% of Americans.
Yeah. And the end number doesn't matter. It's the conditioning to be saving, to be investing rather than spending, because everybody pretty much lives to their, hand to mouth with their checks. And it doesn't matter what they earn. I've got friends who don't earn a lot, some earn a lot, but they're all living the same. They're all just living at the end of their means, right?
Yeah.
And that becomes a problem. Okay, so also in the personal development bit, because this is where it's really interesting, because I've listened to you before, we've spoken before. I'm listening to you now. You're very calm. You're very relaxed. You're very composed. You're obviously a thinker. Yet you get on Twitter and you start hammering people. So what's the MO there? Like, what's that different? What's going on there?
So it's just thoughts. Like these thoughts enter my mind and I share them. The difference between me and everybody else is the thoughts I'm willing to share, they're too scared to share.
Yeah, because we've become a little bit PC, a little bit liberal.
Yeah.
So you would talk, for example, everybody wants a world of equality, which I believe we should have, but you believe men should be men.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm very much in that lane. Like, I just dropped the Unbreakable Rules of Masculinity book. So there's a lot of things that they say you shouldn't say about women, and I'm like, shut up and cook, right?
It's going to get a lot of people aren't going to like that. Do you actually genuinely mean that? Shut up and cook.
Oh, hell yeah, I mean that. Like,
okay.
First of all, you gotta understand the household I grew up in. My mother was an accountant. She made 6 figures. Every Sunday, my mother cooked. We had meals already prepped and cooked, at least up until Wednesday. Thursday came around, you kind of figured out maybe you got McDonald's at night. Friday, we ordered pizza. Saturday, we were out doing whatever, so we probably went out to dinner once a week, right? And then Sunday, she's back cooking. So I came up in a household where, like, if I brought you to my mom's house right now, right, and we hung out, you wouldn't touch anything in the kitchen.
Nice.
She's like,
I'm going to do it then.
Yeah, absolutely, come through.
I want to cook with some. But can't you also see, maybe from some females' perspective, it's a bit shit for them to hear, shut up and cook.
I don't care.
Yeah.
That's their problem. It's not my problem, right?
Of course.
So if this is my opinion, right, and I share it with you, you have 2 options. You can give it attention or you can ignore it.
No, that's true. I think sometimes though, it's like sometimes I don't tell people exactly what I'm thinking, because I just think, what's the point in pissing them off and having the argument? Sometimes I temper my thoughts. Yeah. You just don't think to do that.
Well, the message is not for them.
Okay.
It's not for you. Like I said before, if I tweet something and you don't agree with it, the message wasn't for you. Or if you don't get it, if you don't get what I'm saying here, the message isn't for you. Like, I've tweeted things before where people in the comments would be like, yeah, I get it. And then one person would be like, yo, I don't get it. And I would just say, yo, the message isn't for you.
So this is full-on First Amendment.
Absolutely. But the thing is, I tweet for my followers. I don't tweet for Twitter.
Okay, interesting.
You know what I mean? I'm tweeting to my audience. Like, I know who my audience is. I know my demographic. I know what they want. I know what they like. And I specifically created my following to mirror me.
Okay.
So I'll say offensive things to get rid of people that don't like this train of thought.
Fine. Okay, so you've got kids, I've got kids.
Yeah.
So I've got a son and a daughter. You've got twins?
Twin boys and a daughter.
Yeah. So if your daughter had a boyfriend,
yeah,
and he was just sat on his ass saying, shut up and cook all the time, how would you feel about that?
I don't know. It depends. I think it depends on is he upholding his end as a man? So
imagine he's upholding his end, being a good provider, working hard, and she's also working hard and whatever.
Well, she's working hard, then it's already a fail.
Well, no, hear me out. So what I'm saying is, imagine their scenario. They're both doing their bit that they want to do. You say your daughter wants to work hard. Say she wants a career. You're not going to stop at wanting to do that because she's your daughter, right? But imagine someone hears that message and they take it the wrong way and use that as an excuse just to be consistently disrespectful.
Right.
How do you feel about that? If they,
You're an idiot.
that person an idiot.
You're just an idiot. Like if I say shut up and cook, right, and you take that literally to oppress women, you're an idiot.
Right.
My followers have discernment. They know like this is kind of being hyperbolic. Right?
Okay. Right.
Like I also cater my following to have a large IQ, right? Like they're pretty intelligent.
So this is a provocation to make a point.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I actually felt like that. Like I'll say it to my girl, like shut up and cook. Right?
What would she say to you?
She's gonna laugh. We have that type of relationship where she knows I'm being hyperbolic.
Would she say shut up and put a shelf up?
She might do that too, and I'll be like, okay, right.
All right.
I think it goes both ways.
So you find it important to have this very definite separation of men and women and roles in society?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about the people who want to step outside of that? So, for example, we've got a plethora of genders now that we're having to cope with and deal with and understand. How do you feel about all of that?
I don't. It's none of my business.
Okay.
I'm not dating you.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? Like I can only accept what I'm going to accept.
Okay.
All right. And I'm only going to deal with people that fit within what I'm going to accept. If I demand a certain amount of respect and the people around me aren't giving me that respect, I have to remove myself from that environment and put myself where I am respected. So if I want somebody who's in gender roles and I meet a woman and she's not down for gender roles, I'm going to make a U-turn.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so I tell you what. So where I'm coming from at the start of this, because then I want to start talk about Bitcoin. But it's helpful to understand. So I'm listening and I'm thinking, right, I don't agree with your point. I wouldn't say that to someone. I wouldn't say that shut up and cook.
Okay.
But also at the same time, I spend a lot of time in America now, and I'm understanding the whole First Amendment, how important it is, and freedom of speech. So I'm like, okay, you're exercising. So in my world, I have to go, okay, you're exercising your freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I think perhaps sometimes you might be, right, like in the UK, we'd say, you might be being a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Because it goes a bit, it's not something I would say, but like, yeah, okay, I think I'm starting to get it. Okay, right.
It has some elements of being a dick.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem is people like to sugarcoat how they feel about things. People like to sugarcoat their messages when they deliver the message to somebody, right? So they say, "Oh, can you please cook for me?" I would kind of like, that's not how you sell. Like if we're talking about being a salesman and you selling an idea to somebody, you don't say, "Could you please buy this microphone?" or "Could you please buy this Bitcoin?" You say, "Yo, look, you got to buy this Bitcoin or else."
All right.
This is our future we're dealing with here. So you have to take that approach with all aspects of life.
Is any of this satire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely am a comedian.
Because if it was a stand-up comedy act and built around a joke and it was like shut up and cook, you'd totally get away with it. No one would give a fuck.
Well, that's what it is.
Okay.
I'm definitely a comedian. Like I tell jokes. Like if you take me serious, like I said, that's you being an idiot.
Yeah.
If you taking what I'm saying serious, it's definitely an element of comedy.
So when you were saying the shut up and code,
Yeah.
it was making me laugh.
Yeah.
But I knew it was going to piss people off because people are going to go, "Oh, you're so disrespectful. These developers have built this stuff." And I was like, I know he's not literally meaning to disrespect these people. It's just, it did make me laugh. And I'm going to get hate for that. But he did, yeah.
Well, the shut up and code was a clapback. It wasn't, I came into the space and said, "Hey, everybody, this sucks, shut up and code." It was to people that were quote unquote yelling at me in my mentions on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like I came into the space and I asked a few questions and they're like, "Oh my God, who are you?" and da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Shut up and code."
Yeah.
It was a response,
But it is quite interesting to see the reactions of somebody coming in who's new, the expectations people want of their behavior.
Yeah.
It's sometimes I think these people contradict themselves in terms of their expectations. But for me, I don't care, right? I'm always pissing off Bitcoiners because when somebody says, "Why the fuck you interviewing Hotep?" I'm like, I want to do that more now.
You're right.
I want to do that more because I'm like, what can I learn? Because I was chatting to somebody else about it. They're like if Hotep could break Bitcoin, it's already fucked. Of course it can't. No, there's no damage can be done but Bitcoin by having this conversation.
Correct.
But you can learn some things.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important things we can learn is that, like, what I want to get from this is how do new people coming in perceive the space, understand the coins, and navigate this? Because when you're close to something, like, for example, I have no fucking understanding of the black community, right?
Right.
Okay, no understanding of because there's a different racial divide in the US than there is in the UK.
Right.
That's why I wanted to meet Hawk. I want to understand about Black Lives Matters, blah, blah, blah. I've got no understanding it. So I want to go in and ask about it. it's natural for you. It's natural for Hawk. You understand the issues of your community.
Right.
Same for Bitcoin. Like, I understand Bitcoin, but you coming in might not understand it. So I'm kind of here. I want to see, and I want to understand what it's like for you. So the starting question is like, how far back does your cryptocurrency experience go?
It's kind of embarrassing to say. I saw it like, I think 2013, you know, I want to say I knew about it and I was just like really pessimistic. I said, the bankers are going to kill this. I'm not even going to happen. I'm going to touch it. The bankers aren't going to allow this to happen. And then 2017 was the boom, right? So 2017 came around and I was just like, let me buy something. So I bought. Then you got to remember, I come from traditional investing, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're up, you sell. Yep. So December came around. It was actually, I think it was November, Thanksgiving. And my friend came up to me and said, oh, you know, they talking about Bitcoin and Bitcoin down at the barbershop. And I'm like, oh, it's time to sell. Because once the hoi polloi gets something, it's kind of like, it's on its way out, right? So I sold and I made my bag, right? Okay. I observed Bitcoin since then. I realized that the best way to make money off of Bitcoin is to sell Bitcoin, which is why I got with coinbitsv.com, right? And became an equity partner in that company. So that was last year. So being in this space, I've been just watching, lurking. I haven't said anything, just lurking. And the whole fire that started last week was me asking a question. What is this? What is this BSV thing?
So you're aware of Bitcoin. You've bought some, sold it.
Yeah.
But have you been down the rabbit hole of reading the books, finding out the tech? Have you done any of that?
I bought Bitcoin Standard. I read that. I did the knowledge. You know, I didn't get into how to set up a node. I've seen Bitcoin mining farms. I know how they work. You know, you got to remember, I come from a computer science background. So like when dude said gigamegs, I was just like, gigamegs? I'm like, yo, you guys are trying to call me a fraud and this guy doesn't know the difference between a gigabyte and a megabyte? You know?
He's already blocked you now, hasn't he?
Yeah, of course he's got me blocked. But, I was repairing IBM computers at 16 in 96. I was there on AOL. I was a troll on AOL. So when people try to show me the internet now, I'm like, dog, I was doing this before you were born, So I'm not new to any of this technology stuff. Okay. It's just that when you talk about the technical things on blockchain and things like that, I never had an interest in it. It's just now recently I said, okay, I have an interest in this. Because I look at how I study, I compartmentalize. I say, like the last 12 months was like, I'm going to study communism, right? So I studied it. I feel like I have a good grasp. I'm still studying it. And I wanted to, actually past 2 years was more like economics as a whole. And the last year was more like Russian Revolution and, communism. So now it's like, I'm back to Bitcoin. Like, let me understand this from a technical perspective.
So you're just, what, are we talking a few weeks ago?
Yeah, just recently,
right. So you're coming in, okay. Then, so why for you are you not instantly like, Bitcoin is king and every other cryptocurrency is garbage? Why is that not a natural thing? This is, I ask this facetiously because this is what Bitcoiners expect.
Right.
Why have you not just rejected every single cryptocurrency there is?
That's just not how I'm set up to learn.
Okay.
I don't reject ideas and thoughts.
Okay.
I'm set up to listen to everything and everybody across any subject. Even when it comes to communism, for a while I sat down, I really tried to wrap my head around communism and socialism, and I came to a fail every single time. But I really tried to wrap my head around it. I still to this day try to wrap my head around. I just like to wrap my head around things.
Okay.
It makes me a well-rounded person.
Okay. It
lets me see things. Also, if I can see the counter argument, then I'm like, all right, well, we'll just implement it over here or Bitcoin Core. It's like, no matter how much education I get from the other coins, it's still going to help me with Bitcoin.
Okay.
Like, I know Bitcoin's king, right? We sell Bitcoin, so we know Bitcoin's king. That's what people don't understand. It's like, I sell Bitcoin. Of course I know Bitcoin is king, right? But I still want to be in the conversation. I still want to hear what these people got to say.
How much of it do you want to be in the conversation because it creates awareness for you and a monetization opportunity? And how much is it is just about you wanting to learn?
90% is me wanting to learn. I didn't even think about the monetization aspect until the super chats came in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wait, I can get money from this.
Yeah.
It was like I was getting paid to learn.
Okay.
Originally, it popped up. I talked about this on my show last night. And it popped up because I wanted to learn. And I always go back to this. I say, anytime you want to learn something, make your teacher debate somebody.
Okay.
You have to make people debate. I always go back to, like, when we talk about Black history, my master teacher, John Henry Clark, rest in peace, John Henry Clark, and he had a debate against Mary Lefkowitz, one of my most favorite debates. Or if you go look at Sonetta TV, where they debate ancient Hebrews and ancient Egypt and, all these different philosophies that are years old and Moorish and all of that. But they always had debates. So I grew up in a culture of debates. In the quote-unquote Hotep community, that's what we do. We debate.
Okay.
Like, that's the thing to do. If you go look at Shaka Akmos debating Tahuti, or you look at Brother Polite debating the rabbi, there's all these different debates. It's a culture I come from. And that's how I learned about my culture.
Okay.
Through debates.
Okay.
So when I came into this Bitcoin thing, I said, I want to learn about this. I actually have power to set this up. I didn't have that power last year. This year, I have the power to say, yo, let me do a debate. So
you heard about BSV.
Right.
And what was your initial thoughts? Do you remember how you became exposed to it?
Yeah, I mean, I was exposed to BSV. I got the Hand Cash app, back in June, I want to say. And, I didn't do nothing with it. It was just something. But the BSV thing came because people brought it to me.
Okay.
Was
that a result of Rogan because it just got mentioned?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it got mentioned on
You
Rogan.
got blamed for that, but it's actually Jamie who mentioned it, right?
Right, Jamie mentioned it, and everybody kept saying I was talking about it, and I was just like, nah, that was Jamie.
I know, and I remember hearing it. I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
I was driving. I was in where was I? I was in Boulder. I was driving from Denver to Boulder. I was listening to it, and I heard it, and I was like, oh, no, here we go, fucking BSV. But okay,
and when people brought it up, they almost had tricked me into believing I brought it up. I was like, yeah, I think I did mention it, didn't I?
No, it was Jamie.
It was
because
Jamie.
His friend uploaded the MP3, right?
Right. So I watched the clip when they played it back. I'm like, yeah, Jamie said that. It wasn't me.
Okay, so you heard about then.
Yeah.
So my expectation is what happens is you get these groups of people who are very staunch supporters of a coin, and they see an opportunity and they latch onto it. So Hotep's an opportunity now. Hotep has an audience. So I'm expecting a BSV people came to you, yeah? And so can you even remember the differences between Bitcoin and BSV from the outset? Like how people explain it to you, how the conclusions you were initially coming to?
BSV was talking about hash rates and Bitcoin was talking about price.
Okay.
Like that was the main arguments. BSV is talking about transactions per block and, Bitcoin's talking about price. And I found both of those arguments to be weak.
Okay.
So that's what really intrigued me, because every time somebody brought me an argument, I was like, I don't know shit about this, but these arguments suck.
Well, so this is one of my problems with working with certain Bitcoiners, and I end up pissing them off because I don't want to just comply with their way of thinking.
Yeah.
I think we have this assumption that everybody should automatically see our worldview and agree with us.
Right.
I went through it myself. I interviewed this guy, Roger Ver, who did Bitcoin Cash, and I got a lot of shit for it, and this other guy, Ryzen, but I had to find out myself, and sometimes the arguments about on-chain scaling, I was like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Over time, I've realized it's all bullshit, but I'm just saying I think these people have become intolerant to even helping guide people through. And I think that's kind of what happened with you. So where's your level of understanding with it now? A
little bit better than originally.
Okay.
And I say that because there's a lot to learn. The thing is about being knowledgeable is knowing how much you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So the debate really showed me not so much teaching me, but teaching me like, okay, this blockchain thing is deep. There's levels to this blockchain thing. It's not just blockchain. There's protocols and different versions of protocols. So, and then you have Lop, he has the resource website. So I've been slowly reading up and, trying to figure out where to start, really.
Okay.
For me, I think my start is just setting up a node, right?
Yeah.
Just like, let me just, put some stain in the game. And then once I get a node set up, then I'm going to come back and study some more. Because what people have to realize is I don't give a fuck. I don't care about Bitcoin at all.
Okay.
Let's just be clear about that. don't care about BSV. The only thing I
Is that
care
because you don't care about anything apart from what, say, your family?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Because I don't care about shit.
Okay.
The only thing I care about is my kids and my girl. So when people treat this Bitcoin thing like it's their girl, I'm like, I'm not in love with this thing. It's just a tool to help us get somewhere.
Okay.
Now I'm like, well, is it going to help us get somewhere? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
Is it? Everybody's saying it is, but when they bring these arguments to me and I can refute these arguments, both BSV, BCH, no matter who you bring, I'm just like, I can destroy your arguments. So you say, price is the reason why you should mess with Bitcoin. I'm like, well, Nike has the most expensive shoes on the market, and I fucking hate Nike. They're number one in the market. I fucking hate Nike. They don't make the best shoes.
So you're thinking of these like brands rather than...
It is a brand.
It is a brand.
It's a brand. We cannot get away from the fact that the U.S. dollar is a brand.
Okay, so
everything is based around sentiment.
So I tell you where I'm kind of at with it now. I don't actually check price anymore now. So I focus now on earning money through podcasting, and less so now on trading. I don't trade anymore because I wasn't very good at it, and I've stopped checking on price, and I've become very interested in what the technology can do. And I'm now in this position where, like, yes, if Bitcoin goes up, I can make money, which is cool. But also, what about these other amazing things it can do? Can it help people living under authoritarian regimes? Can it help separate money and state? So
that's what I care about.
Well, so when you say you don't give a fuck about Bitcoin, I do, because I'm like, fuck, we can actually do something that makes the world a better place. So therefore, for me, the distinction between Bitcoin and BSV is really important. For me, it's really important to talk to you. It's not just about you having an audience, but being able to convince someone like you that Bitcoin is a better vision. Mm-hmm. If I can do it with you, I can do it with others, and we can get people away from what I think are shitcoins and scams. Right. And so that's where I'm at. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. I'm more about the end game, The means the end is just to find the means, right? So I don't fall in love with the means. I don't. Yeah. It's just a pathway to get there. I fall in love with what's the end game, like what's going to happen. So if it's Bitcoin, fine, right? But the thing is, a lot of times people get so stuck on the tool, they forget the end game, right? So they fall so in love with Bitcoin that when people enter the space, they're not even becoming welcome, and they're forgetting this is about regime change. We have to allow people to come in and purchase a few shitcoins and lose money to come back to Bitcoin.
Well, so interestingly, I was out last night with somebody. He said, again, questioning why I'm doing this. And I was like, well, so I can help. They said the only way people learn is by getting wrecked. And I said, well, that's not entirely true. I mean, it's helpful.
That's how I learned in the stock market.
But if you get too wrecked, you might never come back. It's like I've never gone back to the stock market because I got wrecked. Just got totally wrecked, right? I don't trade Bitcoin or things because I got wrecked. Right. I think yes, that is a helpful tool. That's a helpful tool. You're teaching these shitcoins have no value, but I also think education and spending time with people.
Well, the thing is, the education isn't on Bitcoin. The education is on investing. You don't actively trade. That's the first rule. Don't actively trade anything. You dollar cost average. When I purchase my stocks, I take the same amount every month, and I purchase the same 3 stocks every single month. Whatever money is left over, I spend on options contracts. And if I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. And the wins I gain from the options, I put back into the longs, But that's the education that needs to be taught is, how to invest. It's not really so much about what you're investing in, but it's, what's your strategy? If you're trying to be a day trader, that's a full-time job. Like I said before, I don't like working, so I wouldn't be a day trader, Matter of fact, I got an options contract on gold. I need to see if it's going to sell today. But, even my options contract on gold, had I got in on that, I got in that a little too early, but I would have made 500% on that between yesterday and today, maybe 600% between yesterday and today. But I didn't lose much money on that because I was just gambling like loose change. Like you saw the other guy, he put up $700 on the options contract, and he came out I think $500,000. Asian guy. I don't know if you saw that story.
No.
Yeah, but it's like $500 to make $500,000.
Yeah, fuck, I love that.
Right. So that's how I play the options game. You never gamble more than you're willing to lose. So it's the investing that needs to be taught. That's why I keep talking about people in the hood. People period need to learn. Because here's the thing: I thought all white people knew how to work the stock market. And the more I talk to people, the more I found out that nobody understands the stock market. It's not just a black thing.
Yeah, like most people lose money.
Yeah. And I'm just like, how could you lose money in the stock market? This shit is so easy. But then I had to remember.
Fear and greed.
Yeah, correct. It's fear and greed, FOMO all day. And that was my, I think I started in the stock market down 1,200. That's how I started. But that's how you learn. Like, it's the cost of education. Like, you go to school and you pay for a degree. That's how you learn. You got to lose money.
So you probably won't know the story. Everyone who listens to the show does. So with Bitcoin and shitcoins, I traded $32,000 up to 1.2 million and then pretty much lost the lot.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so I traded all the way up, but in my head it was going to keep going up.
Oh, and then you didn't come out at the million.
And then I bought $500,000 of mining gear to start mining, and that didn't work because I got in a big contract, so I lost a load of money there. And I pretty much took myself down to what my tax bill was, and I was done. Oh, so that's why I don't. Yeah, I think some people have to accept they're not built for it as well. I can build businesses.
Yeah.
So what I do now is I record the podcast, I sell my ads, and I buy Bitcoin every month, and that's all I do.
Yeah, that's how you did. That's how you got to do it. See, if I was I would have probably got out at like 60,000.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, the way I've trained myself, I wouldn't even have made it to the million.
Yeah. But that was the point. And I had this stupid goal in my head, but some things I wanted to buy that I was like, well, I need to get to 5 million. Yeah. Right, based on this, another 3 months, and then it just
and you had to, then you waited.
Like
by then it was too late.
Moron. All right, so where do you think you're going with this whole? We might as well say cryptocurrency thing because you're not a Bitcoin only guy, right? Where are you going with this?
I don't know.
Okay,
I have no idea.
Wherever it takes you.
Yeah, wherever it takes you, man. We did the first debate last week. Thank you for coming on. That shit was awesome.
I'm not a debater, by the way. I never ever do them because I'm not very technical and I'm not very. I prefer to ask questions, have a conversation. I'm not very good at debating because I can't think on my feet.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And so it's very rare to do that. I just wanted to go on and just like laugh at those couple of guys, but.
Right.
I had to have Shinobi. So thank you for having me, but it's not my bag normally.
Yeah, Shinobi did an excellent job. I'm a debater. My family's a debater. Right. So my brother, he's a computer science guy, computer nerd. He works for a big bank. He handles all their IT stuff. And my dad's a debater. So when we have family gatherings and it's us three, we debate all day long until my mom says shut up.
Right, so I want to see that. And I come and have some of your mum's cooking. We're going to do it all in one go. Right, so... Another interesting. So you, as an outsider coming in, be honest. Tell us what our space and our industry and group of people look like, and even frame it like that.
They look
people
like
are gonna
liberals.
be pissed off. But like, how does it look to you?
They look like liberals. They remind me of liberals.
Because
liberal snowflakes. A lot of emotion. They remind me of feminists, pussy hats.
Okay. It's interesting because a lot of them would say they very much align with a lot of the libertarians, but also probably a lot of them lean a bit more towards the Republican side.
Right.
There's a very strong alignment between the destruction of the state and Bitcoiners and gun rights and Bitcoiners.
Yeah,
right?
So
for you to say that, that's quite interesting.
Well, when I say liberal, I don't put a distinction between Republicans, Democrats, and conservatives. They're all liberals to me.
Okay.
Conservatives, Republicans, Democrats. 6 degrees of separation between them.
Okay, all right, okay.
So when I say liberals, I'm talking about all of them. I feel like if you're not leaning towards anarchy or anarcho-capitalism, you're a liberal in my world.
Right, okay.
You're damn near a communist in my world, You want the government to step in anything outside of ratifying or removing things, I think it's stupid. But that's, neither here nor there. So when I look at these people, I look at them as emotional women. They all act like women to me because if you came into my space and you started talking shit, I would ignore you,
Shut up and rap.
Yeah, just shut up. Yeah, exactly. Just shut up and do what you do. Like, I don't really, like when I get on Twitter, I don't really check the timeline. I don't check nobody else's feed. I'm in my world. I say what I got to say and I talk to my followers and that's it. So, like, if you're over here talking shit, I don't even see it. Like, people will bring me something like talking shit, and I'm just like, that's funny, they're talking about me. And I'm just like, on to the next. Like, I don't care,
Yeah.
So when I enter this space and people are like bitching at me and they're like, like they say, oh, why are you all on his nuts? And why are you treating him like some god and all this stuff? I'm like, why do you care? Like, it's gay. Like, would you just, like, if you don't like me, mute me or block me and go on with your day. Like the guy who blocked me. What's his name? Calvin Ayre. Yeah, so Calvin Ayre.
I was surprising though because he had an opportunity to co-opt you into the BSV space, right?
Yeah, and he acted real weird. I don't know what his deal is.
He is weird.
Yeah, he acted real weird, and then he was like talking shit, And I wouldn't respond because, like, I don't know who you are. I don't care about you. So I responded one time to him. I think I said Gigamex. Right? Like, don't talk to me. You said Gigamex. You're invalid in my world now. I can't speak to you. Like, I can't take you serious for being in this world when you use the term Gigamex. So, but he has me blocked, right? But then he still comes to my page and talks shit about me. So I'm like, so now I have to block you because it's like, you can't.
You got to play fair.
Yeah, like play fair. Like don't talk shit about me behind the block. Like that's gay. So when I look at that stuff, I'm just like, hey, this space needs some masculinity. Okay. So that's what I'm bringing is masculinity. Like
but soy gets thrown around a lot. People say, they use that term a lot.
Yeah, I use that term a lot too. And that's how I see a lot of soy in this community. And I feel like, you gotta get rid of that first.
Right, okay.
Get rid of the soy and all the emotions. If I'm a BTC guy and you come to me shilling some coin, I'm just gonna say, okay, that's cute. I'm a BTC guy. I sell BTC. You wanna buy BTC, we got it. If you don't, go somewhere else.
So that's interesting because I think people are seeing you as somebody who's trolling and shilling, but you haven't actually really shilled things. You've just talked about them. I guess the argument would be that they're like, oh, he's given a platform to it.
That's what they're mad about.
Yeah.
They're just mad that I'm giving it light.
Yeah.
And it wasn't intentional. I didn't know that y'all had a war. I stepped in, and then I was like, wait, I'm in the middle of the crosshairs. And I didn't know that. So now I was like, oh, let me step back out of the crossfire. Okay. And figure out what's going on here, right? So then when I troll, that's me stepping into the crossfire and choosing when to step in and step out. You know what I mean? But it wasn't intentional at first. But now it's like, I don't specifically give Bitcoin a platform or give BSV a platform. The only thing I respond to are things that I'm uniquely interested in. Like if you say, like hand cash app. I had the app on my phone. Like, that was on there since June. I can show you the you know what I mean? I can show you the beta version on my phone right now. So when somebody said they wanted to send me something, I think they said they wanted to send me the BSV in the wallet. I was like, yo, just send it to my hand cash. I'm not going to download a new app. Send it here. So then that started all these people sending me stuff. So I didn't.
Do you get like $200 or something?
I'm up to like $240 now, right? So I didn't plan that. It's just that it happened organically. I didn't want to push hand cash app or BSV. I might cash out the BSV and flip it to BTZ.
Well, look, people can. So I'm a Bitcoin guy, but you can donate on my website. I don't care if you want to send me. Like I won't accept BSV for personal reasons. Right. But if someone wants to send me Monero, Litecoin, Ethereum, I'll take it and I just convert it to Bitcoin. Right. I've got absolutely no issue with that at all. Yeah. I won't support those projects. I won't promote them, but I've got absolutely no problem at all. And I guess you're doing the same.
Yeah, that's it. I'm equal opportunity guy. I'm leaning on the capitalist end of things.
I'll tell you one thing, though. You have... Anyone who's got numbers will be seen as a good person for the community. So there's... do you know Russell Okung? Mm-mm. He plays for the LA Chargers. No. So he's a Bitcoin guy, right? Okay. And he's just Bitcoin only. He's been elevated up in the Bitcoin community. Everyone loves him, sees him as like a good supporter. You equally are seen as a potential tool by everyone. That's why like the BSV guys are sending you coins. That's their approach. There's like,
they're trying to buy me.
Yeah, they try and buy you. What the Bitcoiner guys will tend to be like, go fuck yourself, go get yourself wrecked. Once you come back, we'll be here for you. Right. Like that's what they tend to be, and that's the position you have in. If you end up becoming just a staunch Bitcoin guy, fuck everything else, then you'll have a lot of people behind you and support you. Are you aware of it? That's how it's working. It's a game.
Fuck them. Okay. That's how I feel. All right. I don't do shit for clout. Mm-hmm. I do shit because I believe in it. Okay. And if I have to say screw every other coin to get support, then I'm just gonna have to go without your support.
That's fair enough.
Fuck you. That's my attitude. I'll go 100% BTC when I know the technical things about it. When I do my due diligence. When I feel like after my first debate, I'm gonna debate somebody on crypto one day. I don't know when, but when I feel ready, I'm gonna put it out to them and say, who won debate?
Next up, I talked to Hotep more about navigating Bitcoin as a newcomer. But before that, I do have a message from my amazing sponsors. So firstly, let's talk about Dropbit. Have you downloaded it yet? They've now been with me for 6 months. They are on a tear. It's going really well. I know loads of you have checked it out. I do really like their recent implementation of Lightning. Yes, it's custodial, but the UX from moving between Bitcoin and Lightning on it, I think is super cool. And not only that, they've also added support for Batch32 addresses. This is on top of all the other cool features they have where you can text Bitcoin or you can tweet Bitcoin. They really have created the Venmo of Bitcoin. So if you haven't checked it out, please do go and download it. And if you want me to unlock your Lightning wallet, hit me up on Twitter. I will sort that out for you. It's available for iPhone and Android. Just head over to dropbit.app, which is dropbit.app. Also, have you checked out Wire yet? We're a month in. It's my buddy Michael Dunworth's business. I got to know Michael over the last year. Actually, he reached out to me on Twitter, and whenever I'm in San Francisco, we hang out. He tells me what's going on with the business. And then recently he was like, come on, you've been crushing it, Pete. I'm going to sponsor your podcast. So here they are. So have you checked them out yet? It doesn't matter whether you are a solo developer or a large team. If you are looking to simplify user onboarding and offer your users an easy and fast way to purchase Bitcoin, then you've got to talk to Wire. They've been crushing it since 2013, taking care of all the pain in the ass things such as compliance, payments, and liquidity. So if you work with them, you can focus on building your core offering. If you have an idea for the next killer app, do not let the regulators kill it. So to find out more, reach out to Wire or create a developer account at sendwire.com, which is sendwyre.com. Have you noticed liquidity is king? That's the most important thing with these coins. It's all about liquidity. Can I buy my coin here and sell it elsewhere?
Well, what does liquidity mean in crypto?
In terms of selling volume, so a good example is when the total market cap for Bitcoin was very early days, say $1 million.
Okay.
You couldn't do $1 million trade because there wasn't enough people buying and selling, so
right.
you would destroy the price, right?
Okay.
If you were selling.
Right.
Now I can sell $1 million of Bitcoin tomorrow. It's not going to affect the price.
Oh,
at
I see
all.
what you're saying.
But maybe I can't get to $1 billion, right?
Okay.
So liquidity is king because you've got to have enough buyers and sellers so you can do enough trades. So for example, if you're a guy in China and you want to take a bunch of money out of China
right.
because of capital controls, you can buy Bitcoin and then you can send it to Australia or US and sell it, right?
Right.
So liquidity is king.
I get you.
Without liquidity, there's absolutely nothing. And there's lots of other important factors about how it works. Is it censorship resistant? Is it decentralized? But liquidity is king.
Yeah.
This is the understanding I've got to it. Most other coins are trending to zero because they can't get enough liquidity.
Right.
Have you looked into that?
Well, that was my problem with BSV.
Yeah.
Right after my debate, BSV went up 18%. And I was like, that's not good. That's not good at all. If Hotep Jesus can affect the price of a coin, I don't know if I want anything to do with it. That really, really scared me. And people were bringing it to me like it was good news. And I'm like, dog, this ain't good news for y'all. This is not good news at all. I'm actually really worried. I was talking to my girl this morning. She's like, what's wrong? You in deep thought. I'm like, yo, people are saying that I caused an 18% hike in a coin. And they think it's good. And I was trying to wrap my mind around why they thought that was good. I get it because they own it, and
But they think you can be bought. Maybe your ego can be bought.
It can't, man. My ego's in check. I got a huge fucking ego. Don't get me wrong, but it's in check. I'm guided by God.
Okay.
And God first. I'm guided by my intuition. I'm not guided by my ego. My ego is how I express.
Okay.
My expressions come out through my ego. But the decision making, that's handled by the big guy up top. So you can't buy me. Also, you got to understand is I grew up in a 6-figure income house. Money don't impress me. I don't walk around with shiny bling. I could buy all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I got an iWatch. I forgot to charge. I don't even wear it today. I don't even wear my iWatch. I'm not impressed by things. And my dad had cars. My dad has a Corvette right now. He just bought the new Tesla truck. It's just, my brother had a Porsche. We had Porsches around the house when I was a kid. We went vacations. I had a passport when I was younger. I seen the world. Y'all can't buy me.
Okay.
I can't be bought. And money don't impress me, dog. I can call my mom right now for a small loan of $500,000. How can you buy me? I can call my brother right now and say, yo, bro, I need 100,000. I can call my sister and say, yo, I need 100,000. And I can get it.
So how did your family do it and then the rest of your extended family in Jersey not? What was the difference?
My mom.
Okay.
My mom was completely different from the rest of the family.
Right, okay.
She was the big earner in the family. She was the baby of the family. And sometimes when you're the baby, you get to see everybody else's mistakes.
I'm the baby of mine.
Are you?
Yeah.
So are you the most successful?
I mean, it depends how you measure success.
Right.
In terms of my ability to hold down a relationship and keep my marriage together, no.
Right.
I didn't. My brother did, and that I see that as a success.
Yeah.
In terms of financial, yes, I've earned more than my brother and sister, but then my sister is a teacher, which is an amazing profession, and she
Right.
just did she cycled from England to Ireland to raise money for charity. So in different ways you can measure it, right?
Well, they have traditional roles, right? What I would call them more traditional roles. Me and you having more non-traditional roles.
Yeah.
We have the freedom to roam and do what the fuck we want when we want. Right?
Yeah, I just can't fit in, so I have to do something different.
Yeah, we can't fit in.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I would say financially, yes.
Yeah. So you figure my father was an electrical engineer, electrical inspector. He was only one of 2 black guys that were electrical engineer in New Jersey. He went through a lot of hell in that job, getting that job and getting that license. So my dad earned 6 figures. My mother earned 6 figures. My brother earned 6 figures. My sister earned 6 figures. My brother was computer science. He went to NJIT. He's a math genius. My sister's a doctor. She works for a hospital. She runs the administration department in New York. So I saw all these people around me succeed in these traditional roles. I saw myself as they were my college. They were my examples of what not to do. So thank you for showing me what your life is like in these roles. That shit ain't for me. Mm-hmm. But I had an education from being around them. And then it just made me a better person, you know what I mean? And plus, my dad, he nurtured me, Like I said, when I was building computers, he brought those home. When the law office was taking those computers and throwing them out, he brought them home, so it'd be 10 of them stacked up. So I'd have to grab the manual, boot them up, look at the error codes, figure out what the problem was. Oh, it's a bad hard drive? All right, which one of these got a hard drive? Pop the hard drive out, pop it in there, see if the error code, all right, no more errors, cool. Now let's get the operating system in there. Oh, we got one booted up, boom, put that one to the side. So my dad really nurtured that. We used to go to computer shows and build our computers from scratch. Like, get this motherboard, get that case, get that fan,
Have you watched that Halt and Catch Fire?
Nah, I don't watch TV.
It's about the early days of computers. That's it just gives me that feeling when you're saying it.
I'd probably love it.
Yeah, it is good. All right.
Yeah. So my parents nurtured me, man. So along the way, like anytime I need something, they always been there. That's why I say I can't be bought, because I can always make that phone call.
All right. So a couple other things.
Mm-hmm.
I can't overly comment on it because I'm in a legal situation. But what is your opinion on Mr. Craig Wright?
I think he's a fraud.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that from the moment that it was announced. I read the Satoshi writings from before. You kind of had to. You got into Bitcoin, And the first video I watched of him talk, I was like, that ain't no Satoshi Nakamoto. Y'all better get this dude out of here. Who is this dude y'all got up here? Right? So I wrote him off like the minute he came out and never thought about it until the debate.
Okay.
And then when you guys said it, I'm like, oh, that's his name, Craig?
Yeah.
And then it's like, Craig's the dude that created the Satoshi vision. I'm like, oh, that's that dude? I'm like, oh, I got to get in on this.
Well, so somebody early on said quite funny. It's like, why didn't they call it Craig's vision?
Oh, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, but that's a signal of why to ignore BSV.
Yeah.
Because your 2 leaders are Craig Wright and Calvin Ayre. So for me, that's like a signal. Right?
Are those the 2 leaders?
Well, essentially, Craig's it's his vision. If he's Satoshi,
did he create it?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's his vision.
All right.
So it's Satoshi's vision. He's saying it's Satoshi,
Right.
and it's all financed by Calvin Ayre's money.
Is it?
Yeah.
He's the one financing BSV?
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Fuck BSV then. See, I didn't know that.
So now we're done. So now we've got you in the BTC king now.
Yeah, I'm fuck BSV because Calvin's a dick, yo. And if Calvin is running it, then BSV's communist.
Well, there's 3. There's Calvin. There's this guy called Jimmy. I just call him Jimmy the Snake. Jimmy Nguyen. He's like the lawyer. And then Craig. They're the 3 people. So what happened is, so you had the fork from Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash,
right,
which essentially became Roger Ver and Jihan Wu's attempt to destroy Bitcoin because they believed in on-chain scaling, blah, 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 the big war.
Yeah.
Roger Ver brought Craig Wright into the picture and became part of it.
Yeah.
Then they fell out.
Okay.
And then so Craig ends up working for this N-chain thing, becomes their chief scientist, which is such a bullshit, along with Jimmy. And then Calvin finances split. So essentially, they call it Bitcoin's original vision, but actually it's a fork of Bitcoin Cash, which is a fork of Bitcoin, which they're trying to undo. But yeah, no, it's all those dudes. There's there's no one respectable behind it.
Yeah, see, that's a problem. When you got a guy, one man or a group of men financing something, they got final say. That's centralization. And that's exactly what I don't like, a small group of men conspiring behind closed doors. And then being in charge of potential money, it's not I'm trying to wrap my head around this now that you gave me this information, and I'm not happy at all because if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't have the attitude of Calvin Ayer. I'd probably be a different version of Hotep Jesus too. It'd probably be a lot less Twitter and a lot more action. Because you got the money to do it.
The means,
Yeah, you got the means to do it.
You can make change.
Yeah, the fact that he's sitting on Twitter with Twitter fingers kind of says something about his character.
Yeah.
Because if I'm broke compared to him, and I won't do Twitter fingers back and forth.
Yeah, and also, they're suing me for saying words.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah, that's whack.
I don't know how much you know about the legal case, but...
libel, right?
Yeah, it's libel. They're using the UK because we have strict laws in the UK. Because I said he's a fraud and said he's not Satoshi Nakamoto. Right. Which is kind of really obvious he isn't.
Right.
But they're suing for words. And this is a guy, a billionaire, saying he wants to bankrupt me.
Yeah.
And yet they want to create better money for the world. It's like the two things don't go together.
Yeah.
Like... They want to create censorship-resistant money, but they want to censor people. Actually, the whole language changed. Actually, it's not they don't want to create censorship-resistant money now. Their status. Well, that's good. That certainly made us all worth it.
I wish I had the means. I'd kill BSV right now. I believe that it's slipping my mind. I was studying this week. I don't know the words, but there's a way you can actually crash the coin.
The 51% attacks.
51. There it is. Yeah, I would do that if I had the money. I'd 51%. I don't know why somebody just doesn't come in and do that right now. Well, so this costs about 20 to 30 grand to do.
So this is the point. This is why I'm glad we had this conversation, because you've got to get through these things, explain things to people, so they to get to a point where they have the full knowledge, right? Yeah. And that's the problem with most of these coins. Yeah. That's where the reality I came to is like the difference between Bitcoin and everything else is kind of a company. Right. Even if it isn't incorporated, it's kind of a company.
Absolutely it is.
It's like if they did a pre-mine, they're essentially shares.
Yeah.
There's a group of people who benefit centrally from its success.
Right.
Bitcoin is about as decentralized as you can get.
Right.
The difficulty is that people will sell you different benefits of other coins, and then they'll give you narratives. Right. They'll say Bitcoin's censored because it's on Reddit, or they'll tell you that Core have taken over. It's all bullshit, but people get sucked in and end up repeating the messages.
Right.
And this is why people really want to defend Bitcoin, because of all of them, Bitcoin is the one that is really about trying to improve life, take money away from the government so they don't spend it on bombs, just create a better world for people. So that's why I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, I never conflated Reddit with actual Bitcoin, because I tried to post a debate on Bitcoin and they shot it down, and then the guy who runs the Reddit, the moderator or whatever, he came in my mentions, he was talking shit about me. He's like, oh, you're just grifting and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, I didn't respond, obviously, because it's false claims, but I didn't conflate that with Bitcoin. I just thought, because my experience on Reddit's just trash, right?
Yeah. Like, it's the worst of the worst.
Yeah, like one time I tried to post one of my blog posts inside this Black entrepreneurs chat, and it was just very frank about the flaws of being a Black entrepreneur, how everybody kind of goes into the same business. And they banned me from the thread. And I'm just like, yo, like, what happened?
What is the business they go into?
What was the business?
You said Blacks always go into the same business.
Oh, like hair and rap, and like they always choose entertainment. Right. And right now it's like estheticians. Everybody's doing eyebrows and nails, right? So it's like who's gonna deviate from that? And like I'm one of the few Black guys that goes into crypto, right? Like, we got to diversify what we get into, because the problem is, we do T-shirts, right? It's a big thing. Everybody does T-shirts. Right. It's like you become your own competitors. You actually kill the Black community from inside.
Right, okay.
So I was bringing that perspective into the thread, and then they banned me, and it's like, oh, you're some white guy. And I reveal, I'm like, yo, I'm not white, I'm Black, yo.
They thought you were a troll.
Yeah, I thought it was a troll, but it was a really, but I've had that happen, like, even in, like, startup threads. They don't like what I got to say about the startup world, because I'm very frank about what I see in the startup world. But, that thing's a big Ponzi scheme, so they don't want to hear anybody trying to mess up their bubble. So, I've had that experience with Reddit, period, where people just don't want contrarian opinions. So I didn't conflate that with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin community.
Well, I think you could be really useful for Bitcoin. That's the thing. That's why. And you know, the other guy I was talking to, Stop and Decrypt.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, I think if you get a full understanding of it, if say you became someone who's very, very into Bitcoin, without being coerced or playing to your ego, just if it happens for you, I think you'll be very useful because there's not many people like you in Bitcoin, right?
What's that?
There's not many people like you in Bitcoin.
Yeah, nah, it's not.
So I think you would be very useful. So
yeah, I mean, I don't look at Bitcoin as a place to insert diversity. That doesn't enter my mind.
I wasn't thinking diversity. I was thinking more your attitude of just don't give a fuck.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We definitely need that. We definitely need more.
Although you say that, there is a guy, I can't remember, his name is Isaiah. He's written a book called Bitcoin and Black America, I think.
Okay.
He's
BitcoinSV.
Yeah. So I need to get him on, actually. Have you met him?
Yeah, that's my homie.
All right, I need to get him on. So we met, and I've got his book. I've not read it. But I guess culturally, you would be a better person to take Bitcoin to the black community than I would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. They'll probably relate to me more. I'll be able to relate to them.
Yeah,
we speak the same language.
All right, well, look, listen, there's a couple more things I want to ask you.
Okay.
What's this truth you tell your kids?
Oh.
Because I got kids and I tell them the truth.
I teach them about media deception, educational system deception. So, like the other day, last night in my show, I was talking about like the story of Christopher Columbus. So my daughter came home, and I'll do this every year if I have to, but she came home with some Christopher Columbus homework.
Discovered America bullshit.
Yeah. So I took the piece of paper and I wrote it, and I said, his name isn't Christopher Columbus, it's Cristobal Colon, and he was a rapist. And I sent it back to school. I said, you're not doing this homework. We're not going to sit here and we're not going to learn about some rapist. That's just not what we're going to do. He raped little boys. He was a homosexual that raped little black boys. In his own writings, he's talking about how sexy little boys look.
I've never heard this. Okay.
I mean, you got to go to primary sources. I study primary sources. In his own writings, this is what this dude is talking about. So that's not somebody I want my kids learning about. But
people turn the other cheek, right, to stuff like that. Like, sorry, and it's not the same, but a similar thing is like, I won't ever listen to Michael Jackson, right?
Oh, okay.
I won't, because in my mind, he's a pedophile.
Okay.
And I got a friend, she's a huge Michael Jackson fan, and I'm like, but he's a pedophile.
Right.
Like, how you, like, if I was a pedophile, you wouldn't be my friend anymore, so how are you approving this? Like, I think sometimes people just...
It depends on how you look at it, because I don't look at him like that.
Oh, you don't?
Nah, I don't. I look at him as somebody that was falsely accused by the media conglomerate because of who he was and what he was trying to do and what he was exposing.
All right,
When you look at these stories and you look at what he was exposing before those stories came out, you start seeing like how they get you out the paint, as we say. But right before those stories came out, he started talking about the media deception.
Interesting.
And the conspiracy. You can go look it up.
But you get to that point, though, you don't know what the fuck to believe anymore. Because every story has unless you can find true facts in situations, every argument has a counter-argument, every story has a counter-story.
Yeah, well, when I look at media, I just look at, what's the hidden message here?
Yeah.
Why they bring this up. It's not about the details of the story. It's why they thought this story was relevant is where we first have to start. And is this story relevant? Because they'll bring up something that's completely not relevant to my life whatsoever. So I look at these life stories like, so I'll say, well, if this is irrelevant, then why'd they bring it to my attention? And they must be trying to distract me from something else. Right? So then you have to go deeper into the story to go find the truth. Right?
And are you and is it your wife or girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
Are you on the same page with the kids?
Yeah. Shut up and be a mom. You know what I mean? Like when I'm dad, I'm like, I raise the kids, you nurture, I'm going to raise the kids. Okay. I'm going to show them how this world works.
How did the school react to you writing back to them?
She ain't say shit. My daughter got an A on that assignment. What are you going to say? You really going to tell me? You really going to have that argument? You don't want me to come down there and start talking social studies with the teacher. I'll run circles around the teacher in social studies. She hasn't studied what I studied about social studies. I could tell her exactly how the United States educational system became under communist control. She don't want to have that conversation. Right? She don't want to have a conversation about how she's not really an educator. She's an indoctrinator. She don't want to have that conversation with me. They know better. The way I write my emails, you don't want to talk to me. But like my kids, like we watched Yuri Benzimov. We went over that this summer to talk about how people are propped up. So Barack Obama. And I like to put things in context. So I tell my kids, look, we had this great black dude that was president. So yes, you can be president. Now let's put this guy into context. So I show Yoram Bezimov, and I start talking about how he's propped up as a puppet. And I show them how to love Barack Obama and then understand that he's still just a puppet. Like, you can love the person and not put too much faith in them. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and the Donald Trump thing. Like, I remember when Donald Trump first got elected, my kids came home and they were all sad. And I was like, yo, what's wrong? And they were like, oh my God, it's just a long day. We were talking about, like, my kids are like 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And then my son said something. He's like, everybody was just mad because Donald Trump won. So I'm like, so you're telling me that your entire school was depressed because Donald Trump became president? And meanwhile, you know me, I like Trump, right? Yeah. Even though, again, he's just a puppet. Let's put that into context.
Yeah.
So now I have to grab my kids and show them, like, look, Hillary's a criminal, so we didn't want that, right? So you kind of got to teach them, like, the hierarchy of control, right? So I always start, like, with the media. And then I show them, like, you know, what your family members like, look at this family member. You see this family member? It's like, yeah, what are their daily habits? And they'll say, they just watch TV all day. I said, so what do you think the TV does to your mind? They said, it's probably going to make you broke. And I could just, like, let them start making these connections on their own, and it just slowly changes their behaviors and their habits. So my kids are more readers. We don't have cable in my house, so they can't watch TV. I've conditioned them to only watch Japanese cartoons. I introduced them at the age of 5 to Japanese cartoons because I didn't want them watching Western Civ cartoons because there's a lot of debauchery and homosexuality I didn't want them to be exposed to. So I put them on Japanese cartoons.
Homosexuality because?
Because what?
Like, why can't they? They're going to see that. They're going to know it exists in the world?
Oh, yeah, they know it exists in the world, but they don't need to see it in their entertainment. You know, I think there's a lot more edifying things to teach a kid. So when you teach a kid Dragon Ball Z, you're teaching them about emotional control, you're teaching them about spirituality, you're teaching them about discipline, you're teaching them about being a man and fighting for what you believe in and working out and exercising. These are good stimuli for a young boy.
Yeah.
Relationships, period. Like, you know, teaching a boy relationships, period, probably is the best thing for them. Like, if my boys turn 16, I don't want them dating girls, period. I don't want them dating, period. That's a distraction, right? I'm going to tell them straight up, yo, you're not allowed to date. You're an athlete. This is what you do. You're not dating. These girls aren't really going to look out for you. You know what I'm saying? They only want you because you're starting on your team. There's going to be millions of girls later, you know?
Yeah, I can't adjust to your exact way of thinking, but I can appreciate a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
So, but I just feel like Japanese cartoons have a message, whereas in Western Civ, we kind of lost some of that message in our cartoons. We kind of lost some of the masculinity in our cartoons. Our cartoons are very soft now. You know? Like, nah, my kids need to see somebody get punched in the face and bleed.
Take me back. What was the one I first watched? Akira. Right.
Akira, He-Man, you know, G.I. Joe. You know, where is that
Where's
stuff?
The A-Team?
Where's the A-Team, right?
A-Team.
Yeah, like Commando, Rambo. That's what we grew up on. These kids, like, they're not growing up on that stuff now. They're growing up on, like, what's the name of that one where they all wear the red outfits, the family? I forget that cartoon. But it's got the big, bulky black dude.
Are they like the superheroes?
Yeah, that superhero family, the cartoon. You know what I'm talking about.
It's a Disney thing, yeah?
Disney, yeah, Pixar joint. Yeah. And the big black dude, he's the softest one. He is the most, you know what I mean? Like, he's soy, but he's big and brocky. Like, and it's just like, why would I want my kids to see a black dude soft? Like, I'd rather watch them watch a Japanese dude be, you know, cocky. You know what I mean? Don't make those connections in my kids' minds, you know? And they like to do that with Hollywood, and I don't want my kids watching nothing coming out of Hollywood. They still see it, you know, mom still takes the movies. You know, I took them to see the Pokemon movie and a whole lot of things, but anytime they see something, I'm quick to put it in context. We talk about homosexuality in the house, but I put it in context, you know?
Okay, all right, okay. Last thing, because I am coming back mid-November, I will be with Hawk.
Okay.
Like, the racial divide here is still, it's much bigger than in the UK. Okay.
Okay. I don't believe that, but go ahead.
I think it is.
Okay.
I think in terms of debates and issues, like we had a Black Lives Matter thing happen in the UK where they try and shut down the airport. It felt very small. Yeah. And it felt like it was almost like supporting what was happening out in the US, right?
Right.
So I'm trying to like it's my first time going into this area, learning about it. And you talk a lot about like black culture and for your kids. So what is the state of like in the U.S. right now?
We don't have a race problem in the U.S. No, we have a class problem in the U.S. We have a communist problem in the U.S.
Okay.
We don't have a race problem in the U.S. The race problem in the U.S. is wholly propagated
Is that
by
media invented?
Yeah, it's media invented.
And is that to do with? I read something that it usually happens around the time of elections.
Yeah,
and it helps support the liberals.
Yeah, every time election time come around, you can guarantee you're gonna see more videos of black people getting shot by cops.
When the stats say there's no real difference.
Right, more black people are killed by a chicken wing than by a cop. And the numbers aren't even close. We're dying of high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease, and cancer. That's what's killing us. That's what's killing America.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Heart disease is killing America. So when the media starts propping up all these stories, like I said before, it's a distraction. But the race problem in America, we have to understand, goes back to the Second Civil War. The Second Civil War is what I call the Civil Rights Movement.
Mm-hmm.
That was wholly inorganic. That was Black Lives Matter 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
It was propped up by billionaires that wanted to create a divide in America to start another war. Now, we never got to war status because MLK was able to bring peace. That was his thing. But they wanted war. They wanted us to actually fight, and we did. We saw people die in Charleston, South Carolina. It's a big massacre. This is history. But that was done through legislation. That was created through legislation. Government created that.
So what do you think of Black Lives Matter? Is that a distraction? Is that itself a problem? Is it? Do you support it, or do you see it as a distraction?
I don't support Black Lives Matter. When Black Lives Matter first came out, for a very brief moment, I supported it because it was in response to, I believe, Trayvon Martin or Mike Brown. I forget who it was. I think it was Trayvon Martin. So you may see me say Black Lives Matter back then.
Really, it was in a response to the guy getting off, more so, wasn't it? That,
I believe so.
Zimmerman,
I can't remember.
was his name?
Yeah, I think it was Zimmerman, yeah. So that case was heavy on my heart, but when I started really sitting down analyzing what was going on, I started seeing that we were being pawned again. We were becoming pawns. And then I took a look at the website, and I said, let me check this thing out. And I looked at the website, and it said mothers, parents, children. I said, wait, why'd they omit fathers? And I looked at the website. I'm like, oh, this is an LGBT organization. Masters a black movement. So I exposed that, you can go look at those tweets. So I was been at war with Black Lives Matter since almost its inception, because I realized it was a ruse to co-opt the black plight in America, which is wholly against the government and not against white people. It's wholly against legislation. But Black Lives Matter is inorganic. It's an inorganic movement. Anything that gets support from the media is probably evil. When you get that much support, you definitely got to question something that's getting a lot of support from media. So I don't trust nothing that gets support from media. And then I had guys on the ground, R.I.P. Darren Sills. Darren Sills told me straight up, man, like, dudes was out there stealing money. Black Lives Matter was stealing money. They were stealing the spotlight. Like they would sit on the sidelines watching people protest. This is DeRay McKesson. DeRay McKesson would sit on the sidelines while people were actually protesting and cared about it. Then he'd go in front of CNN and talk for that community. Instead of saying, yo, I'm not from this community, I'm just tweeting about it. Well, let's grab somebody from this community and let them speak for their plight. So he became the figurehead for something, and the people on the ground didn't even like DeRay, but he was taking credit for that whole thing. He never once corrected CNN when they said, gave him credit for a lot of what he did. So I was pointing out this fraudulent stuff, pointing out the fraudulent Sean King, but I've been wholly against that, and I think their approach is wrong. The beef in America that's happening right now is between white people. It's between so-called white liberals and white conservatives. And what they did is they took black people and made us anti-MAGA and turned us into the front lines for the liberals to face off against conservatives, when conservative beef wasn't with black people. Conservative beef was with the liberal policies that are being established in America. And the liberals made black people think that the conservatives are racist, and now got us fighting the war. And I'm telling black people, I specifically align with Trump just so black people could say, yo, what are you doing? To ask that question so I can let them know, like, yo, this ain't our beef, dog. This ain't our war. Mind your business. Let these white folks figure out what these white folks are dealing with. But this ain't got nothing to do with us.
Wow, so you're making me now think I actually want to have you with me when I'm with Hawk, because it'd be interesting to see, like, asking questions, and I can't check him with this. You can.
Yeah.
That would be
I'd love to check him. Set it up.
I watched his interviews with Candice Owens. His debate with Candice Owens.
I saw that.
That was not what I expected.
I saw clips.
What's your view on her?
She's a fraud.
Is she?
She's an opportunist. She's sexy though. She look good in the dress. But she's an opportunist. She's doing what's best for Candace. You know?
Okay.
So I can't knock her for that, right? Like, everybody in this world has free will. You could do what you want.
Well, you said you're a capitalist.
Yeah, I'm a capitalist, but I believe in doing what's right. You know, like, there's a certain point where you have to say, like, I'm not going to compromise my integrity. Whereas with her, is like, she just want to get to the money, you know? Maybe because she didn't come from money, because she didn't. She admits this. I did, which is why money doesn't impress me. So it's different, which is why sometimes I can't fault her, because if she never had and now she does have, she probably doesn't want to lose it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to go online and lie and say that there's a great black awakening, it's not true. There is no great black awakening that's going to come and vote for Donald Trump. If anything, it's the opposite. Wow. You know, people are more adamant this time around to not vote for Donald Trump, you know? The same people that she brings to these rallies are people that would have voted for Donald Trump regardless if she existed or not. She didn't really do anything.
Interesting.
You know, but I call them basic bitch conservatives because they just stick to the talking points, you know? Like, you'll never see them talk about crypto, right? It's not a talking point.
Yeah.
In fact, if they talk about crypto, they'll probably get called a fraud.
Yeah.
Like, that'll lose points. Whereas me is like, I'm gonna talk about Bitcoin, and if you're a no coiner, then I'm just gonna laugh at you. You know what I mean? Whereas some people won't talk about Bitcoin strictly because they know their base won't support it. So it's real easy to grow your following when you say all the right things. So when I see people like that, I'm just like, whatever. You're like a waste of time. You know, you're not trying to change anything. You're keeping the communist system going along.
Interesting. Well, look, I'll put it to Hawk. I'll say, look, what do you think?
Set it up.
Yeah, let's see. Like,
I eat him alive. Tell him I said that.
Well, I don't want to do that.
Nah, I really got a beef with Black Lives Matter.
Really? Okay.
And he shouldn't be out here perpetuating. As a black man, you should not have Black Lives Matter on the shirt. You should not be saying you're part of that organization. You need to go and call it something else, because Black Lives Matter is a ruse to destroy the black community. The black man is public enemy number one to Black Lives Matter.
Interesting. And do a lot of people think like this?
Yeah, the whole Hotep community will tell you quick.
Right, interesting.
Black Lives Matter ain't for us. Anybody that is paying attention knows Black Lives Matter is not for us. We call them brunch era blacks. Like, look at everybody that's quote unquote Black Lives Matter, right? They all verified. They got cushy jobs under white people, right? They work for Huffington Post or CNN or some really good corporate job. Hotep Jesus can't get that job. If there's anybody that should be saying Black Lives Matter, it should be me, because I can't get into mainstream because of the things I said. Because
you're not going to fit in, dude. You don't want to be there. I don't want you to be there.
No, I don't want to be there. I'm just saying it reveals a lot about where we are, that you're not allowed to think a certain way. And if you do, you won't get access to that. So if you claim that you're oppressed, but you're verified, and you get the largest platforms in America to express your opinion, you're contradicting yourself. That's a contradiction.
Yeah.
You're proof that you're not oppressed. We're not oppressed in this country. You are that proof. And it seems like the only people that complain about it are them. And then they wholly misguide us. They tell us that the problem is white people. The problem ain't white people. It's not. It's not. It's communist regime. The laws. For example, if I wanted to start doing hair in my house, I can't do that. I could go to jail for that. Right? You need permits. Kanye was talking about in his recent interview.
You're like this guy I met up in Wyoming called Tyler Lindholm.
Okay.
He's like a libertarian conservative. He represents one of the districts. He's like a rancher. He's got a gun guy, right?
Yeah.
But he's for deregulation. He said, I just want less regulation. He said, you have to get a permit to be a hairdresser. He's like, you're cutting hair. So they got rid of that shit.
Okay.
I think you would like Wyoming.
Yeah. Well, Kanye, that's what he set up in Wyoming, because in California, they made him tear down his domes. They said it was 10 feet too high. What?
Yeah.
10 feet too high? What are you talking about? So, like, it's all these restrictions. Like Kanye said, the biggest form of control is slowing people down. And bureaucracy is like taking ideas and putting them in traffic. So when black people say, oh, it's the white man, it's like, nah, technically it's communism, because not every white person is a communist. Some white people out here do believe in less government.
Mm-hmm. I believe in less government.
Right. So, and that's why my beef with black people, I'm like, yo, you mad at conservatives, but what they believe is gonna help you out a lot more than what these liberals believe. You know, like politically, y'all agree more with them, and the liberals know that, which is why they turn you against them. Because if you switch, it'll turn the entire tide of America. If black people switch to the conservative side, it would completely change. And I don't consider myself a conservative. I'm saying that as an adjective. But if we switch to conservative side, it would change the tide of America completely. You know, but our problem ain't white people, is bureaucracy, man. And to say that you know, white men are oppressing us, and to say that you know, there's a system of white supremacy is sidestepping the fact. No, it's a system of communism. Then I'm gonna give you the caveat. Mm-hmm. You ready?
All right.
Every single person with LGBT in their bio is also a Marxist. People that are Black Lives Matter are also Marxists. How are you gonna say there's a system of white supremacy, then side with that exact system? Because they told you the Black Panther Party was communist. Because they showed you pictures of MLK at a communist rally and communist control MLK. So you think Marxism's the way to go. Because you read some book about Marxism, right? Because you read Karl Marx, now you think this is the way. But this is how you see things happening inorganically, and that's how you know the communists are in control. I mean, you go look at, you know, all the studies when they say when communists take control, they always go for the most oppressed people, right? That's the people that you could be handicapped, LGBT, whoever is the minority is who they go after. And they charge up the minority and get them to go fight the battle, right? That's what the Bolsheviks did. Grabbed every minority and bolstered them together, right? And that's what they do here. They took the minority of the minority. So they took black people and said, all right, well, who's the minority? Trans people. All right, cool. There's been 12 trans deaths this year. It's an epidemic, right? So now Black Lives Matter has to fight this battle for trans people. Then, you know, LGBT people. So you have the gays now, right? And then every time I see a gay person, it's Marxist in their bio. So you sitting next to me saying your Black Lives Matter, which is a rules, and then they're Marxists. Then you're telling me that white supremacist system is holding us back, but you're supporting the exact system. Then when I tell you that the system holding us back is communism, you want to argue me down. You can't win that argument. You're going to lose.
I lit fire under you there.
You did.
Dude, I have another show, my Defiance show, man. Maybe we'll have to get you on that and do like a alternative, like Black View, like people aren't hearing because I've not heard any of this before.
You're not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm one of a kind. A lot of people, even on my side, not thinking what I'm thinking.
But you can't be the only one.
I didn't say the only one.
Yeah.
I said one of a kind.
Yeah.
There's very few of me because there's not many people that have studied ancient Africa on through the civilizations and have gone and studied the Russian Revolution, studied communism, studied Federal Reserve currency, studied crypto. Like, who's studying all of these things to get this holistic view? You know, who's studying subversion? You got to remember, my father came from intelligence section in the military, so I also have that background, right? So I understand how the intelligence section of these agencies work. He has stories of missions I'm going to record one day and put out, but his closer to when he dies because it's classified information. But when he tells me these stories and he tells me what comes out in the news, like he says, yo, we did this and this came out in the newspaper the next day, and it's two completely different things. So if I'm at a young age and I know this stuff,
Like, you're not really going to compete with that.
I need to study more about the history of Marxism and communism. All I know is like Karl Marx's legacy is death. That's all I know.
Yeah,
his
well,
legacy is death, and
Trotsky is who you guys study.
Well, yeah. So it's I know I need to understand more about it because I have socialist friends, and I've always I struggle with having a good anti-socialist debate myself. But I'm not a good debater. I've said to you, like I can picture it in my head, but I can't debate back. I'm much better at just asking the questions.
Right.
But I need to know more about Marxism. I need to read more on it.
It ties into Bitcoin because Bitcoin's decentralization and communism is centralization. Like when people ask me what communism is, that's my shortened definition. It's centralization.
Yeah.
If you want a long definition, it's more like centralization of power for the purpose to control resources and people, to control capital goods. Then you have like crony capitalism, right? And crony capitalism, no such thing as crony capitalism. What we have is exploitation of socialist systems, because that's what they're doing is they're using bureaucracy to have a corporate advantage or a capitalist advantage. But you can't do that without the government and their laws. But those laws are very communistic.
We got a whole nother show here on us, man.
I could do this all day.
Well, listen, look, I can't. I've got to go and get a plane.
Word.
I'm so glad you came on. This is exactly what I hoped it would be. I don't agree with you on everything. There's certain things, just I'm not there yet, or maybe never will be. But I consider you a friend now. Like, we'll definitely do this again. I'll talk to Hawk. There's going to be a backlash, I think. I think some people are going to enjoy this as well and go, actually, that was fucking well worthwhile. Some people are going to backlash. It'd be really interesting to see the responses. But, yeah, man, look, really appreciate you coming on. Really
pleasure,
do it.
Man. Thanks for having me.
Anything I can ever do for you, you let me know, yeah?
Oh, definitely. I'll call you.
Okay, so what did you think of that? Did you enjoy that? Yep. Hotep has some pretty controversial views. Some of which I don't agree with. Some of it is the choice of language I wouldn't use. But as I said in the intro, I wasn't going to release the interview just because he said some things which I thought were, just don't work for me. And I certainly wasn't going to edit them out. I'm not in the field of censorship. So if you were offended or annoyed by it, I'm sorry. I mean, Hotep won't give a fuck, but, you haven't my apology from me. I do, though, find his journey into the Bitcoin space is very interesting. And I think it's probably a little more typical than we like to admit. I don't think people are born maximalist. Some people get it very quickly. I think Russell Okung is a great example of that. I think other people, that isn't so obvious to them. I think perhaps maybe that is because they first care more about making a financial return. They don't have this whole history of 10 years embedded through all the civil wars of Bitcoin. They don't have the battle scars. They just want to make some money. I think that people can get confused by shitcoins, which have Bitcoin in the name, and maybe trend towards buying the cheapest Bitcoin. I talked before about, we had this old meme, the 2 Bitcoin saga, where I had a friend who phoned me up and he said, "Oh, Pete, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin. I'm on Coinbase. Which one should I buy?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, there's Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. I think I'm going to go for Bitcoin Cash because it's cheaper." And I was like, "Oh, no, hold on." So I had to explain to him why he should buy Bitcoin. But that situation did occur, and I thought the 2 Bitcoins thing was worthy of a debate, but ended up becoming some kind of meme to attack, and I think it's kind of stupid, really, because it ignores what I think is a real problem. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm sure some of you won't. Some of you will hate it and lose your shit with me. But anyway, I did enjoy doing it. I expect some of you will get trolled by Hotep after this. I'm sorry, it comes with the territory. But I will always do the interviews I want to do, and I do think this was an interesting one. As I said, if you've got any feedback, you can reach out to me. My email address is hello@whatbitcoindid.com. I will try and get back to everyone who gets in touch. Also, if you want to support the show, there's loads you can do. It's all up on my website. There's a support section. Just head to whatbitcoindid.com. It doesn't matter if you want to leave a review. It doesn't matter whether you want to become a patron or if you want to become a sponsor, of which, by the way, I've only got 1 slot available for the whole of next year. So you got to be quick if you want to get in. Anyway, just planning my trip back out to the States. As I said, I'm going to be heading out again next week. It's probably going to be Boston, New York, Ohio, maybe Indianapolis for my first time. I kind of need to get back over to Austin, San Fran, LA, maybe even Hawaii and New Zealand. So another crazy ass trip. Anyway, got any questions? Reach out to me. It's hello@whatbitcoindid.com.